Storyboard special. I'm Shivani Gharat. I'm at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, and this is when the most powerful decision makers in tech descend on Barcelona along with 80,000 other attendees. I'm here on ground getting in key insights from the experts, catching up with them and understanding how will tech impact the business, media and advertising landscape in the coming days. 5G was one of the main themes at this year's Mobile World Congress, with fifth generation of mobile network already bringing in more data more quickly to millions of devices around the world. Now, IT brand HCL Tech was also present in a big way at this Mobile World Congress, and they were speaking about 5G acceleration and its application and use cases across businesses. Now, if you recall, a few months ago, HCL Tech refreshed its brand positioning to supercharging progress. So how was this brand communicating this new brand positioning to its stakeholders and clients present at the venue, and why has the company upped its sports sponsorship game over the past couple of months? To tell us more, we are joined in by Jill Curry, CMO HCL Tech. It's been like 6 months since you unveiled your new brand positioning, Supercharging Progress. I remember speaking to you back then. How has it worked for the brand so far, Jill?
We're thrilled at the take-up, both externally with all of our key stakeholders as well as internally. As you know, we've got about 220,000 people around the world. And part of the reason that this is so successful is because our people are evangelizing both the overarching brand position of Supercharging Progress, but also our brand purpose, which is very easy to remember, which is to bring together the best of technology and our people to supercharge progress. And there are 4 key pillars, if you recall from our first conversation, where we're really bringing Supercharging Progress to life. And that is around our clients, our people, the communities where we work and live, and then the planet at large. So I think that construct is really helping a lot of things that we've already been doing as an organization fall into place. And now we've got the great brand position as well as this exciting new visual identity. I think it's just really been a galvanizing force, across all audiences. So we're quite happy.
Yeah, and not just the brand has come up with a new brand positioning, but also has been very active on the advertising front. You of course have the MetLife Stadium in New York, and then the Formula One partnership and association that HCL has lapped up in the past couple of months. So what is the interest in these sporting associations, Jill?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you've noticed. We did launch the partnership with MetLife, which is the home of the New York Jets and New York Giants, right around the same time as the brand launch. And then a fast follow a month later was our partnership with Ferrari and F1. And we think of these sports partnerships as an investment, really, not an expense. And there are multiple reasons why we made the decision on both of those relationships. One is that we have a keen interest in doing business with sports entities. In the past, we did sponsorship and work with Man U. We helped them launch their app. We're partnering with Cricket Australia. We've been doing that for 4 years, and we're also a key business services provider for them. And then with MetLife, we are the official digital transformation and tech services partner. Same with F1. F1 is on the HCL software side, and the software team is working with the Ferrari team from a business perspective. So that's business. From a hospitality and client relationship building perspective, I mean, you cannot replace the amazing experience of being able to sit on the 50-yard line at a football game. And you know that American football is the most popular sport in the US, or be in the paddock at an F1 race. So the opportunity for us to do really amazing create client experiences that can't be purchased is a huge reason I think we and other organizations are doing much more in the sports world. But it's also a huge attraction for prospective employees. I just heard a story from our head of HR in the US who told me that a number of people who joined one of our cohorts in the Dallas area, our name wasn't quite as well known in the younger population, but now that they're seeing the F1 affiliation, it's helping them stand up and take notice of us as an organization.
Sure.
So the pull through opportunity of partnering with massive entities like this is huge.
Yeah. Jill, this year's MWC's theme is around AI, digital, metaverse, and ESG. How do you see HCL, your supercharging progress theme translate into these particular areas?
Yeah, ESG, just broadly speaking, inside Mobile World Congress or outside, I think we're very proud of the efforts we're making. Inside Mobile World Congress, yes, the focus is absolutely on 5G.
5G, yeah.
And not so much the tech, yes, the technology and the adoption and the implementation of 5G, but the bigger topic is what are the problems that 5G is going to solve? Where are the innovations that customers really need and demand that are going to provide the ROI for companies to invest? So 5G is coming. I mean, it's here. It is going to be here at scale very soon. It already is, as you know, in many markets. We led a panel discussion this morning with 5 providers across multiple areas in the space. And the big topic was, when are consumers going to demand enough? Let's just take the metaverse. When is there going to be a demand whereby there is a wholesale switch from dealing in the physical space to switching over to digital? The big example that was talked about in the panel today is COVID was the driver for everybody to start using video conferencing at scale. The technology has existed for years.
Yeah.
Microsoft Teams, Zoom, all of the platforms were there. People were generally using them for personal dealings, right?
Sure.
Now we can't imagine how we would interact without video conferencing. So where are those tipping points going to happen in society where, Gen Z is going to say, I am never stepping foot in a retail store again. I am only going to go in the metaverse. I'm going to buy my, Oculus headset or my full suit that will enable me to interact seamlessly and immersively in the metaverse to do all of my retail experiences.
Sure.
Like, what is that tipping point going to be? And we have some amazing demos in our booth right now that showcase the art of the possible, both in showcasing how a mobile phone provider can do product launches in the metaverse, can answer customer service questions, can trial new apps. That is, I'm sure a lot of companies are starting to take a look at that. And then we've also got a really cool retail demo, which you can take a look at when you leave here, hopefully. That, again, it demonstrates the art of the possible.
All right, Jill, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing these insights with us, and thank you for catching up with us at the Mobile World Congress.
Thank you for having me, Shilbani.
Amongst the topics that were explored at this year's Mobile World Congress was metaverse, whether it is future, fad, or fraud. There were a lot of conversations on how it will change advertising for good too. But what are the other techs apart from metaverse that will change advertising in the coming days? Well, my next conversation is just about that. At MWC, I'm catching up with Dickon Laws, who is Head of Innovation and Head of Ogilvy Emerging Experience Lab. Dickon, welcome to CNBC-TV18 and Storyboard. Tell us about what do you really do? What is, the Emerging Experience Lab at Ogilvy?
Sure. So Ogilvy's Emerging Experience Lab is shortcut. We call it Reality. And our job is, working within a kind of advertising network or an experience network, is to look forward into what the emerging technologies and the emerging behaviors are and try and bring those forward so they're applicable for brands today. So at the moment, you could say that things like augmented reality, artificial intelligence, VR, not all of those are emerging technologies, but they are emerging experiences that brands are starting to see as quite strategic rather than maybe what they've been in before as tactical. Our job is to tell them strategically why they have value for them as a business, as opposed to just technologies.
Yeah, and you launched, I believe, Reality?
Yes.
Like a couple of months ago?
Yeah, so we launched in November.
Yeah, launched in November. And so what is the kind of work that Reality has done so far? Okay,
great. Good question. So we've done some really exciting things. So one of the first things we did was to work with Nokia. Obviously, Nokia here at MWC in quite a magnificent stand, which you've probably seen. Yeah. And they've relaunched their brand. Yes. One of the first things that we did as Reality was to help Pekka Lundberg, who is their CEO, kind of create a really disruptive invitation to bring people to MWC to hear his announcement and see him on stage in his keynote. And we did that through using volumetric captures. We created a hologram of Pekka to disrupt Nokians and the investor community to figure out that Nokia were doing something a bit differently. So we went to Finland, we captured him as a hologram in his locality, and then we created an AR experience, which was then sent out to all 90,000 Nokian employees to bring them all together to understand what the rebranding was all going to be about. And it's that kind of use of technology that people are really excited by, because it really starts to show them that actually things like AR are not just for funny face filters or gimmicky models. They can be really impactful when it comes to engaging in experiences.
In general, what are the kind of solutions that clients are looking for in this emerging tech space?
So what we're seeing at the moment is two real focuses. One around augmented realities and much more of a focus on how they become strategic tools, not just kind of creative content experiences. And the other one is obviously kind of more generative AI work, obviously really hot topic at the moment. But clients are really keen to understand how they can use things like ChatGPT and GPT-3 in more strategic ways, as opposed to the novelty that we're seeing at the moment in some of the use cases for it.
Yeah, and since we are meeting at MWC, any interesting tech or interesting solutions which can be applied effectively to the advertising industry that you've seen on ground?
It's a great question. I think you've got two parts to MWC, right? You've got the actual main body of the experience that's happening here, but then you've got 4 years from now as the kind of the secondary part of it. Yeah. And I think that's really been what's really exciting for us. I think where we focus on the brand application and the consumer interactions, a lot of the main displays here are kind of vendors selling large-scale enterprise technologies. 4 years from now is where all the startups are coming together, and inherently the startups are much more focused on the end user. So we're seeing there loads of technologies that can be better applied. So we're seeing AI, we're seeing health experiences, we're seeing lots of innovations that are putting consumer at the heart of the experience as opposed to corporations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, it is time for a short break. More conversations and insights from Mobile World Congress Barcelona on the other side of this break.
हाँ जी, तो आज आसमान बहुत साफ है, बारिश के आसार नहीं हैं और अब धोनी क्रीज पर बॉलर का सामना करने के लिए तैयार।
अरे ये बोरिंग टीवी हटाओ यार। इस बार टाटा आईपीएल जियो सिनेमा पे, किसी भी स्क्रीन पे, वो भी फ्री। चल भैया। अब डिजिटल इंडिया देखेगा डिजिटल टाटा आईपीएल सिर्फ जियो सिनेमा पे, किसी भी स्क्रीन पे, किसी भी मोबाइल नेटवर्क पे, बिल्कुल फ्री।
केसर रसमलाई रेडी फॉर अ सरप्राइज। वाडीलाल गॉर्मे नेचुरल केसर रसमलाई आइसक्रीम इतना क्रीमी और रिच कि नेचुरली हर दिल बोले वाह वाडीलाल।
Presented by HSBC. Knowledge Partner, Deloitte. Industry Partner, Vicky. Associate Partner, Reliance Industries Limited.
क्या हुआ रोहन? क्या सोच रहा है?
रिया पहली सैलरी मिली है, तुम भी कुछ आइडिया दो।
एक्सपेंसेस को कैसे प्लान किया जाए?
रोहन, एक्सपेंसेस के साथ साथ इन्वेस्टमेंट प्लान करना भी ज़रूरी है।
देखो, सैलरी का कुछ हिस्सा घर के रेगुलर खर्चे के लिए और कुछ मैं अपने लिए भी तो सोच सकता हूँ ना, लेकिन इन्वेस्ट कहाँ करूँ?
सिंपल है, एनपीएस में।
एनपीएस में? भैया अभी तो मैंने कमाना शुरू किया है, इतना आगे के लिए अभी से क्यों पैसे जोड़ूं?
वो देखो, एक एक करके ईंट जोड़ी जाती है, तब जाके एक घर तैयार होता है। वैसे ही अभी से पैसे जोड़कर हम भी अपना रिटायरमेंट सुखी बना सकते हैं।
बात में तो दम है।
एनपीएस कम लागत वाली फ्लेक्सिबल लॉन्ग टर्म योजना है, जिससे आपकी बचत ग्रो होकर पेंशन का लाभ देती है।
अच्छा, फिर तो मैं अभी अपना एनपीएस अकाउंट ओपन करता हूँ।
जो कल की सोचते हैं
वो आज से ही थोड़ा थोड़ा जोड़ते हैं।
पेंशन है तो टेंशन नहीं। एनपीएस में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है।
Oh yeah. Settle down, settle down. Oh yeah, that's it. I've been through the storm, I've been through the rain. I'm still here standing, unshackled and chained. You better buckle up, cause I set my sights. But this bad boy ain't leaving without a fight. Roar it hard and dark, cause there ain't no fire without a spark.
Welcome back. You're watching our Mobile World Congress special show from Barcelona, and we are speaking about some of the key trends that will have a sizable impact on the world of technology, business, advertising and media in the coming days. Now, speaking of impact, there is one man sure to have played a role in disrupting the smartphone market over the last 1 decade, and that man is Kalpe. After co-founding OnePlus, he started his own Nothing a couple of years ago, and now as the world awaits a premium flagship from Nothing, I caught up with Kalpe to not just find out more about this device, but to also speak about what does it take to launch not just one, but two smartphone brands in a span of just 10 years. Let's find out. You're someone who has built not just one, but two smartphone brands in a decade's time. In this rapidly evolving, market, tech space, what does it take to really do that?
Naivety.
Naivety.
I think Nothing is a lot harder because we're not a part of a bigger company. So every little thing we have to think about ourselves, from supply chain to capital to human resource, etc. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
It's my advice to other people. It's just because it's so complicated. If you're making an app, you just need to make an app. But in our business, you have to do supply chain, you have to do engineering on the hardware side, on the software side. You have to do design, you have to do marketing, you have to do customer service, you have to do sales. It's like, how can you do all of that? It's just so complicated.
Yeah.
So what it takes is actually not a great idea, but rather that all those functions that I talked about, they all need to work together.
Yeah.
Like the integration of all those capabilities, that's what it takes.
Yeah. So not just a great idea, but, to endure through bringing in all those functions together. What is your assessment of the India market today, being the largest smartphone market in the world?
I'm very bullish on India and India's economy. I think this year it's going to grow by 6%, while large parts of the world are going to fall into a recession.
Sure.
I think the population is very young, so there's a lot more they can contribute to building the country and the economy. I think we have a great start in India. I was able to meet the Prime Minister recently on my trip, so I'm still really grateful for that, because in that meeting we were the only startup company. All the other companies were very established. So I think there's a affinity for our brand in the market already, so hope to build upon that. It's going to be an important market for us going forward. A lot of our manufacturing is already done in India.
All the best for the coming days. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us
you.
in a conversation today.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. At Mobile World Congress, Nokia made an announcement to replace its iconic Yale blue logo with a new one to avoid being confused with HMD Global's phone business. But how will it really impact the phone business? To tell us more, we are joined in by Adam Ferguson and Sanmeet Singh Kochar from HMD Global. They are also speaking about how they are reviving the iconic Nokia brand for the consumers of today. Would you see an impact of this brand identity change, a logo change on your business at all?
So from an India standpoint, we have seen that consumer has been in love with this brand and this logo. And we have been interacting with our fans in India and with our friends from the media and our distributors. And, we see that people have no confusion at all. And people are loving the fact that we are going to continue with this logo, which people associate with quality, with durability, and love it so much.
Yeah, and Nokia used to be the device that, for someone like me who, stepped into, buying a smartphone right at the time when I was stepping out from school, entering college. And that was like the phone that we would purchase back then. There was no option otherwise. From then to now, how have you transformed this whole brand Nokia to what it is today? And what are Nokia consumers like today? What do they ask for?
So the fantastic news is there is a lot of the core Nokia brand that is as relevant today as it was back when you bought your first 3310 or whatever the device was that you were in love with. Well, there you go. That's whatever you were in love with. So durability, longevity.
Yeah.
These are the things that are still very much at the heart of the Nokia brand. In India, for example, we have the replacement guarantee. If something happens to the device in that year, we're going to take care of you. There's no problem because we're so confident in the devices that we're putting into the market. You look at some of the new C-series devices that we're launching, the Nokia C22, the Nokia C32. We've put these devices through durability testing versus some of the best phones in this price point. And we know when it comes to drop survivability, we're right there at the top. So, some of those core things are still very, very much at the heart of what the brand stands for. And of course, now you've got things like long battery lives.
Correct.
All of these devices, 3-day battery lives that are in there. You've got really good performance as people move into the smartphone category. We're introducing new things like memory extension to the C-series device. And that's going to help the performance at these entry price points as people use some of their storage as virtual RAM.
Sure. And what is working for the India market, Sanmeet? If you can share details on how are consumers buying Nokia devices in the country?
So today, one of the things that we have in our phones is that we don't have any bloatware. We don't tell our consumers what apps should be preloaded in their devices. We want them to choose what they want. Similarly, today, the young consumers are spending so much time on their devices and all of their bank passwords, let's say the photos, their personal messages, everything is on the device. And we offer, even on our C-series devices, 2 years of quarterly security updates. So devices, the Nokia devices today are the most secure. And they have, the most security updates. Plus, on our X series and G series devices, we offer 2 and 3 operating system updates. So we always have the newest operating system working with you. So the best software as well as the best in terms of hardware and our service in terms of 1 year of replacement guarantee, which means that if something happens to your phone, we don't repair it, we just replace it.
Wonderful. And then bringing back the classics and, thoughts and ideas such as the most eco-friendly smartphone out there, which was the most recent launch that you guys had. How is it really working for the brand?
So the answer is extremely well. So when you take the X30 5G as a really good example, the most sustainable device we've ever launched. You've got the high levels of recycled material, 100% recycled aluminium, 65% recycled plastic into those frames. Not only that, it's coupled with some of the best hardware we've ever put out. Some of our best ever pure view photography on this device. You look at the low light photography in particular, absolutely fantastic compared to even the best competitors at that particular price point. So not only is it a sustainable device, it stacks up incredibly well against the rest of the market as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us
Thank
today.
you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Sustainability and diversity in tech were some of the key trends at this year's Mobile World Congress, says Greg Kurehe, Global TMT leader at EY. I spoke to him to find out how will these themes impact businesses and transform businesses in the coming days, and what are the innovations that will shape the tech and media landscape in the coming months. Let's find out. At the Mobile World Congress, I'm catching up with Greg Kurehe, Global TMT leader, EY. Welcome to CNBC-TV18.
Great, thanks, Shabani. Glad to have you, be here with you.
At the Mobile World Congress, Greg, what is the most interesting tech that you have witnessed so far, and what is the most impressive one that you've witnessed?
Well, I think it's actually, the tech itself is really impressive, but it's not just the tech. I think one of the things that's really been a focus that I think is everywhere here this year is the energy situation, especially with what's going on geopolitically, has really gotten everybody real about sustainable consumption by tech.
Yeah.
And telcos are huge users of energy, but now it's not just a societal imperative. It's a financial necessity to adopt green tech, and it's everything from wearables to low or no energy sensors, things that were theoretical maybe the last couple of shows that are now actually in production. I think that's been really impressive. But I think a couple of other things are impressive as well. This used to be very telco-centric a decade ago, and then it became B2B tech focus layered on. But now it's what I call the emergence of convergence. There is every industry you can possibly think about here. And it's not just industry either. Government is now here saying, how can we use communications and tech to not only impact our citizens, but do so in a more sustainable way. So I think that's been very impressive. And one other point is the whole notion of diversity here. The participation base in every dimension you can possibly think of is here. And I think in particular, we've seen on stage or on the floor, way more female CEOs who are really great role models for people who want to come into telco and tech. So it's been the tech, but it's also been the people and the companies that are taking this and making actual usage of it.
So what are the trends that you've picked up from here that will shape the media landscape?
It's part of an overall trend. I think you've seen it is a lot of theoretical discussion of AI last year. Again, a really fast pivot to practical AI in general, especially AI at the edge, but generative AI. I think this is a big one in your industry, right? Generating images, in some other industries, mine, generating code. So the fact that you're going to be able to have machine learning that can then generate things, that is a big trend. I think is going to affect media. There's a lot of discussion of metaverse as well, but I think metaverse is something that is accepted. How fast that happens is going to be dependent on some of the communication networks. But the notion of generative AI, it's again no longer theoretical. It's going into the reality rather quickly.
And how transformational is it? Because generative AI, ChatGPT, metaverse are some of the things that have been discussed at large over the past 1.5 years or so.
Right.
How transformative is it going to be for the industry, in the years to come?
Well, I think even in our industry, as a service provider, it's going to be very transformative very quickly. We're using those things ourselves to take the things that are routine, knowledge searches and things like that you may need a bunch of people to go do things, to now relatively quickly using AI to do that. We're actually doing that within our own organization.
Sure.
So I think it's huge. But it's actually, the other thing is people tend to think in the old way of thinking that, okay, they released this, it does that. That's not how it's working with generative AI. You've seen some things in the last few months where, we didn't expect that would happen. That's quickly tuned out. It learns itself, and it starts to replicate a new way of providing service. And just think about that connected across many companies. It's going to be really fast.
Yeah. You would be in talks with a lot of clients over here at MWC.
Yes.
What are the top concerns of these C-suite clients of yours?
Well, it's funny, we'll get back to the energy thing. I would say the energy, it's sustainability, but it's also energy as a cost. Because many of these businesses are very huge, but especially in telecommunications, their margins are very thin. So if you think if your energy costs just doubled or tripled, you're really big. So that has been a big conversation with them. And it's also to your earlier point on devices. If consumers are spending on a lot of other things, how much do they have to spend on the next mobile?
Sure.
So it's been really a lot about cost structure, but to make sure that they're reaching price points that consumers of all demographics can really engage with. So I think that's been a big part of it.
With that, it's a wrap on Storyboard this week. I hope you enjoyed our Mobile World Congress special show from Barcelona. Goodbye.